Now, in your textbook, you have a court structure of Texas. So it has the organization of all of the courts in Texas. It's extremely important that you are familiar with these. For instance, that you know the municipal and justice courts, justice of the peace courts, are at the bottom. They handle civil actions of no more than 10,000, small claims, misdemeanors. It's important for you to know if I were to describe those elements, you would say, oh, that has to be the justice of the peace court. Or if I say something like criminal misdemeanors, or this court handles limited civil jurisdiction, or this court handles truancy, it would be to your advantage to know that that is a municipal court. So the structure in your textbook that has the court structures of Texas, be familiar with the courts, including which are the highest courts, which are the lowest courts, and what type of cases each court handles. At the top of the chain, on the civil, we have the Supreme Court. And on criminal matters, we have the Court of Criminal Appeals. Those are the two final courts that we have in the state of Texas. So be familiar with that. And of course, we have a Court of Appeals at the state level, district courts, and county level courts. All of these courts are outlined in your textbook. Again, it's in a chart called the Court Structure of Texas. It's pretty self-explanatory, but make sure that you're familiar. And if you have any questions, please email me. What about qualifications? Well, it would make sense that you would have higher qualifications for the higher courts. If I were to ask you on a quiz for this particular bench or this particular court, you would have to win a precinct-wide election, no specific qualifications, and the term would be 4 years. You would know immediately that would be one of the lower courts, right? So that would be a description of the qualifications for a justice court. So not only does your textbook outline the hierarchy of the courts, but it also outlines the judicial qualifications and selection of the courts. And it is extremely important to make sure that you know those as well. For instance, let's go to the extreme. On the Supreme Court, you have 1 Chief Justice and 8 justices. Qualifications, much more strenuous or tougher than the lower courts, right? So it has an election, partisan election statewide. That's how you get on the court. You have to be a citizen of the U.S., minimum age of 35. But by the time you reach to 74, you are going to retire. You have to be a practicing attorney or a lawyer and a judge of a court for at least 10 years. And the term when you run for the Supreme Court would be 6 years. So again, much tougher requirements. And on your exam, if I am to outline the requirements and ask you then what court am I describing, then if I just gave you those specifications, you would know I'm talking about the Supreme Court. So make sure you're very familiar with that.